Hello everybody. This is a video about AWS Elastic Beanstalk. And just to start out, I'll talk a little bit about what it is and what it offers you as a developer, and then I'll actually close out the video with a demonstration of it to deploy a web application. So just to get started, like I said, let me just walk you through what it is. So Elastic Beanstalk is a service on AWS that allows you to automate deployments for web applications. So if you're a developer and you don't know a lot about how to deploy applications, Elastic Beanstalk really helps you out in that situation. And the way it does this is it uses different AWS services to actually deploy your application. So one of the main tools or main two tools it uses are S3 buckets, which are basically storage devices inside of AWS. And Elastic Beanstalk uses these buckets to actually store the source code for your web application. And it will handle the storage of this for you and will handle versioning as well. So if you update your application and you deploy it again, it will create the versioning to separate those two whenever you deploy. And when it's actually going to deploy your source code, it will spin up a Amazon EC2 instance, which is the server that your application will run on. And it also configures a load balancer and even has auto scaling to match web traffic demand for your application. So it handles a lot of the details that a developer may not know that you will need to actually deploy this application. But like I said, it just handles all that for you and makes it very easy for a beginner to start with. Now, if you want to follow along in this tutorial, you will need an AWS account. To create one, you will need a credit card. But the good thing is with AWS, there is a free tier that they offer where the first year after you sign up for an account, you get certain resources for free, like for every month. So, like I mentioned earlier, Elastic Beanstalk uses EC2 and S3 buckets to deploy your applications. And with your free tier of AWS, you actually get 750 hours for free per month. And with S3 buckets, you get 5 gigabytes of storage as well for free. But if you go past these, it will charge, but usually it doesn't cost that much for a small EC2 instance to run on AWS. And after the tutorial, if you're happy with what you found and learned from it, you can just delete these instances and the application on the cloud management console with AWS to get rid of those resources so it doesn't keep charging your account. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I will be using Visual Studio in this tutorial, and I will be deploying an ASP.NET application. So to get started with Visual Studio, first you'll need the AWS Toolkit extension. So just click here for the extensions on the ribbon here, and then Manage Extensions. Then go to Online, then search up here for AWS, and then there'll be a AWS Toolkit for Visual Studio. And you can just install this here. And once that is done installing, you can then just go up to extensions here, and then this will be here for you. And then you can just click the getting started here to log into your AWS account. And if you haven't, this should pop up automatically after it's installed, but if it isn't, then you can just go here and manually open it. And you will need to log in to AWS of your account through Visual Studio with this, and it will walk you through on how to do that as well. But since I'm already connected, as you can see, I'm already good for this. Since I'm logged in now, we can go ahead and just create an application. So I'll go to New here on Visual Studio, then Project, and we'll do this template. And then we'll do, call this Elastic Beanstalk tutorial. All right. So now Visual Studio is just creating this template for us. All right, so it looks like it's already good. And we can just click the play button here to run it up real quick and see what it looks like. Since this is just a template, it will look pretty basic with a welcome and then kind of a link to documentation about what to do for more things on this. But yeah, so this is our web application that we're going to deploy. I will just add a quick change just to make it a little bit more personal. So I'll just say, welcome, and then we'll say, There we go. And I'll actually include a little link down here as a bonus. We will see what this is later once we get to it. All right. So that's our new application now. And I think we're go ahead and ready to deploy this. So since I'm already logged in with the AWS toolkit here, I can just select our application and then publish to AWS. So this will bring up this here, wait for it to load, and this will give you some options here. So the top one here is just ASP.NET Core app to AWS Elastic Beanstalk on Linux, and we'll just choose this one. You can also deploy it on Windows if you'd like, but Linux will usually be cheaper, so just stick with that really, because Elastic Beanstalk will handle all this for you anyway, so no worries about having to do a lot of command line stuff. All right, and then now we just click deploy, or publish, I mean. Click yep. And now we just wait for this to go through. It will have to build your project first, which won't take as long. Then it will start generating your CDK environment stuff. And this will take quite a bit the first go around of deploying, because it will have to create the permissions and roles inside of AWS to actually deploy and allocate your resources. So I'm going to cut after this just to let this keep going, and I'll join back with you guys after this is complete. Welcome back, everybody. So my deployment finally finished up. So you can see here it took around 300 seconds. So it did take a little bit of time, but it was doing a lot in the background for us. So we can actually look back in these logs here. So it deployed our application locally into a zip. So it built the project and put it into a zip folder to be uploaded. And then it configured some roles for the Elastic Beanstalk to create everything on. And then it actually created the application on Beanstalk using those roles, and then created the environment and deployed on the instance. And now we can see an endpoint here where the actual instance is being ran at, but I'll go to this in a second because I just want to look at the actual side of Beanstalk on the AWS Management Console. So let's go here. And so this is just the home page of AWS. If you haven't been here before, we're going to go to Elastic Beanstalk here. And I have it pinned, but if you don't have it pinned, you can just click Services and look for it under Compute right here, or you can just use the search bar. I'll just click this. So those take us to our environments for different apps that I have, and I can click Applications, see what apps I have. So right now, you see Elastic Beanstalk now. And under environments, this is the environment that it created for us. This was just a test environment I did before this video to make sure everything was working okay. But we can click on here, and then this will give us the domain that was assigned to us for this application and show some logs about how everything was created a little bit ago for us. And like I mentioned before, this uses a lot of different AWS features to create this for you. So like I said, it's using an EC2 instance. So you can actually look at health here and see the instance ID, which was deployed for 3 minutes now. It's been running. There's the ID of it. It's a T3.micro, so it's a small instance. Doesn't have a lot of CPU and RAM, but you don't really need a lot for a simple web application like this. But we can actually go take a look at it if we go to EC2 here and look at our running instances. And you can actually see it right here. This is the EC2 instance that was created for us with Elastic Beanstalk, which is pretty cool. And as well as the instance, it also created an auto-scaling group for us, which means that if the instance was somehow crashed during running this application, the auto-scaling group will detect this and actually spin up a new instance in that situation in case something happened. So it's fault tolerance in that way. And you can actually set up a minimum and maximum number of instances in dire situations. So if you want to at least have maybe 3 instances running at a minimum at all times, you can change this minimum number to 3 if you wanted to do that, for example. But yeah, just an example there for you to show you what it's doing in the background. And we can actually look at S3 here. And this will show us the S3 buckets that was used to deploy this. So we see the Elastic Beanstalk bucket and also CDK. So this CDK bucket was used from the command line from this. And then this Elastic Beanstalk bucket is actually used to hold the source code. So you see the resources, and then your runtime, or no, runtime actually has your .NET environment, I believe. Versions. But under here, it has your source code for you if you want to take a look at it. But like I said, it's handled for you. You don't really need to worry about that. And you can actually click upload and deploy from here if you wanted to do another deployment. Or if you did some changes in Visual Studio, you can just do publish again. What's that? I just said publish again. And then it already has it here, and I can publish, and then that'll just publish a new version with the changes I had. But yeah, so let's just take a look at the actual instance. So if we click this link here, it will take us to the page where our instance is being hosted. And you can see our application is running, Elastic Beanstalk tutorial, the welcome page about that, and our little addition at the end. And then this is just a little additional thing I included. So I'll just open that. And there you go. So there you go. Yeah, that was just a quick tutorial about Elastic Beanstalk, and I hope you learned a little bit from this. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be sure to answer any questions in the comments below, and hopefully answer your questions. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed and have a good day.